Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So maybe this sounds like a common topic, anger, which we often, I think, mention it once in a day at least. Don't get angry. Don't angry me. I am angry, or something related to anger. If not anger, anger as a word, something in context with anger is what we generally mention at least once in a day. So if that's so common, why everywhere people have to keep giving us sermons that, get rid of anger, get rid of anger, get rid of anger? Yes, it harms. Anger is harmful. But have we ever focused or tried understanding that why and when anger is harmful? If it was that bad, it wouldn't have been an element of our emotion. In fact, it is a equal important emotion as love. Anger is a part of human being. You cannot really ignore anger. You have to consider it as to why anger happens. Each one of us, there is anger in one way or the other. It is there. It is within us, whether we accept it or not. So that is why I thought of talking a little bit about anger, maybe a little in different concept or maybe in a different way, hopefully to make people understand that how can people themselves analyze their anger and turn out into something and make this anger useful to them in a different way, in a better way rather. So I love these images when I was preparing for the talk. Both actually, nobody looks like this when they are angry, but this is what is the internal emotion like. So when you say you are angry, when your eyes actually turn red, when you speak whatever comes to your mind, so it's like there's blood into your eyes, and when you speak ugly, you don't really have that kind of a beautiful mouth. You don't really do justice to what you're given this tongue for. So this is exactly what it is. You come to that level, and there is fire. There is absolute fire. Undergoing your emotional state, you're not able to think of anything. What happens when there is an explosive or a fire? You just want, it's a SOS situation. You want to just get rid of it right now. I want to be out of it. So when you are angry at the peak, this is exactly the situation. You are out of control. You don't know what's happening. So that was maybe the internal image what somebody had made it. But this is the physical way how it looks like. Your angered eyebrows down and together. Your eyes glare at as a substance or the person or the situation on which you're really angry at. And you narrow your lips. Basically, you narrow your lips because when you have to really talk something offensive, when you want to really blabber out, when you want to really express your anger, you are basically then crunching in, you are actually contracting yourself first, and then you release it with force. And there's this fist which is usually tight, because you really don't know, because once it releases, you don't know how it's going to release. So you're maybe accumulating that kind of energy within you to maybe blast or maybe punch it, maybe give it back to that's a person on whom you're really angry at. So these are the physical ways, in which you behave, or in which your body behaves when you are really angry. So how do we recognize and deal with anger? Now this is where the trick is. The task is this part. We all get angry, but we really understand what anger is all about, and whether we are angry. Angry is only when people. Okay, sometimes other people might not know we are angry, but we ourselves very much know that we are angry. But have we also acknowledged that? The problem with us is, the problem with majority of us is, we ourselves do not want to acknowledge our anger. Say for example, if I'm really mad at the situation today, something happened with me, but I will just brush it off. It's okay, something like this happens, but I have really not acknowledged it, I have not brushed it off, so I'm carrying that with me. So the first victim I meet on the road, and I blast that person, or maybe my children, or somebody who is weaker than me. If I'm going to office, maybe it is my subordinates, my juniors, my staff, whoever basically I can show my power on. So I will go and actually blast. So this is exactly where I feel school and college teachers, poor students. Can you even imagine? So I think they never have a problem as to where they will go and vent their anger. Students are always there. So moment they enter, I have been a, a lecturer myself. So I know, I mean, I used to go with my eyebrows in a similar manner, I would always be like this. And then moment somebody would do a little mistake or be disobedient, that person was taken for a task. So and in my school days also, when my friends would always tell me, you are like a volcano, you get angry so often and so quickly. Well, they would tell me कि गुस्सा तेरे नाक पे है, somebody can just bother me a little and I would be angry. So now I was a very good sport when people would tease me. That was a different thing. But when people would irritate me on my principal matters, I would get angry. Say for example, I was a very spick and span person. So if somebody would scribble in my book, or somebody would just take my book and just put it somewhere else, because I am a particular person, and if you are doing this to me, I would blast. So I could have handled that situation nicely also, but I would just blast. So this was my trait. And I didn't realize why was this until until a time when I actually was sitting and thinking, because that anger, because I did not acknowledge it, because I did not realize it, it started developing into many other personality issues, personality disorders. So I actually became an obsessive person, I became an obsessive compulsive person, wherein I would just keep cleaning things, I would just keep organizing my stuff, because I wanted to prove it to myself, not for anybody else, prove it to myself that okay, I am a very organized and a very spick and span person, and I mean everything in my life goes systematic, in rules and in disciplined manner. Because things around me did not happen that way, I at least tried putting those things within me. But that also, if sometimes something would not take place according to my thoughts, I would just blast. And now this was affecting my relationship to a great extent with so many people, because even I did not understand what was the problem. How can I expect people to understand that why am I behaving in this particular fashion? So they took me as somebody who is rude, somebody who gets angry quickly without any reasons, and somebody who can only offend people. Naturally, because according to my personality, I would not sulk if I would get angry. So whenever I would be angry, I would react, and I would actually put that person, I would show that person his or her true position by making them feel really bad about doing something to me. So I definitely was not giving a very good effect as a human being when I was behaving in that fashion. Even if then I turned out to be a very good friend or very good person in different ways, those moments when I have offended people in that spur of anger, I have really left a very bad patch, a very bad mark on their minds when I have behaved in this fashion. But the problem is, I myself could never understand what were the underlying issues which was making me so angry, then how I could have dealt with them. So the problem here is, we often, 90% of us, we do not know that what is the real reason we are getting angry. Now, if we do not know the reason, can't recognize the reason, how do you think you will deal with it? So that is the reason it becomes a pattern. So, as I said, when you know what are the reasons, the causes of anger could be many of these things. The external events called provocations, which create angry thoughts, anger arousals, and angry actions. So, I personally do not blame external factors much. I generally feel it is you yourself within. That is exactly why on a spiritual plane, people often can come and tell you with confidence that it is possible to take anger within your control. How can people say that? If only external factors were responsible to get anger into you, then how can people with so much of confidence, all the spiritual gurus and our scriptures and all our mythological sermons have only one thing to say is the day you control your anger, that's a very Zen kind of a thing, Buddhist. Even Buddha said that the day you control your anger, that is the day you are not going to have any issues in life, no problem. By that means it is internal. It is completely internal. But external events only trigger it. Meaning something within you is already lying. it's already there. That fragile element is there within you. The external element only has to trigger that. मतलब बोलते हैं ना उसको छेड़ दिया. So that soft part of yourself which can bring you into the angry mode is the external environment, they're called as provocations, which can actually trigger that. So if, for example, if I'm seeing a violent movie and something unfair happens, I can think of my life, because we are human beings, we associate. If my colleague or my friend comes and cries about her problems, say she says that she was ditched in a relationship, I will start figuring my life. If I was cheated by somebody, maybe not in a relationship, but if somebody has cheated me as a friend, somebody has cheated me on employment, whatever. So those things start reflecting, and then my anger starts. So anger was already there for those things. Somebody just provoked it. I was trying to just suppress it, so that I thought it's not existing anymore, and I was kind of relaxed that I'm over it, I'm done, I have moved on. So when you physically move on in life, it's not moving on. You are still going that thing, you're holding hands very nicely, you have embraced that anger and kept it in one nice corner safely in safe deposit vault where no one knows. But it is increasing, जैसे वो principal amount पे जैसे interest नहीं आते रहता है. Exactly. So this is how your anger, it's piling. Some or the other layers are getting piled and piled on that anger, and just pray to God that it shouldn't come out in a very, very horrible way, wherein it could be disastrous, it could be harmful to the core. So basically the hidden reasons, now when we see what are the reasons. Dependency in relationships. So this is one of the very important reasons. Say for example, children are dependent on parents. So whenever you are dependent, the person on whom you are dependent often can give you a lot of reasons to get angry. So if I'm dependent on my husband, or if I'm dependent on my mother-in-law, or I'm dependent on my parents, if I get old and I get dependent on my children, all these things are going to be major reasons which are going to put anger into me. Because as a dependent, you are often not taken, your choices are often not taken into consideration, your opinions are not often taken into considerations, and of course the opposite person doesn't mean to, they don't mean to really hurt you or harm you or upset you, but it's somehow the relationship is such that if one person is dependent on the other person, the dependent or the person who is dependent on you is often exploited or often feels exploited. So even if one way the opinion is not being taken into consideration, their opinions, they start feeling offended, and this is the start of anger built. Resentment. Something that happened in past, you thought you could have helped it and you did not help it, that again stays as a resentment. So again, here when the dependency thing goes off, often I feel that way. So maybe, say for example of an employee who is in dire need of money. Somebody who is in dire need of money is going to take whatever job is offered to that person. But because that person is taking the job in that circumstances in which he or she is not left with enough open choice whether they can accept the job or not, naturally that person has to undergo a lot of things that is against his or her principles and dignity. So this is going to be putting a lot of impact or negative impact on their psyche. So the day that person gets out of that dependency thing, that I'm no more dependent on my employer because now I'm capable enough to do something better, but the resentment always remains that I could not help myself, and that is the reason I was in such a helpless situation, and that is the reason that employer took advantage and could behave with me the way they wanted to, could actually crush and walk on my dignity over, and that leaves you with resentment. So you carry that for quite some time because you understood everything. It was not that you did not understand everything, you understood everything, but somehow things were not in your control. You felt that things were not in your control, and that is the reason you got exploited. Grief. many a times grief, this usually happens when you lose out on a relationship, or you lose out on some money, something which is valuable, basically any person or material which is valuable, then that leaves you in grief. Many a times you will hear people saying, हमारे तो इतनी जायदाद थी, लेकिन हमारे चाचाओं ने सारी ले ली, या हमारे पुरखों में से आधे लोगों ने वो ले ली, so my dad was left with nothing, इसीलिए हमें इतना स्ट्रगल करना पड़ा. तो द होल लाइफ, उनके सारे लाइफ के डिसीजंस, सारी लाइफ की उनकी पर्सनालिटी इज डिपेंडिंग ऑन दिस ग्रीफ. मतलब ये ग्रीफ एक एलिमेंट उनको कंप्लीटली चेंज कर देगा, और सामने वाले को पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि इंसान ऐसा क्यों हो गया है. ही विल कीप पुशिंग हिज चिल्ड्रन, मेक मनी, मेक प्रॉपर्टी, मेक मनी, मेक प्रॉपर्टी, क्योंकि उसे जो खो चुका है, ही और शी वांट्स टू गेट इट बैक some reason. Similarly, somebody who has lost a person, relationship, can never truly and carelessly, in a carefree way, fall in love or give the same kind of affection to somebody else, because they're always into the grief, still in the grief that what if I lose this person also, and maybe I don't deserve, that person was much better whom I have lost, or that relationship was much better which I have lost. So because they are not able to come out of their grief, the whole life is being taken toll on because of that element. Victim mentality. I am dealing with these people like day in, day out. Victim, you all feel we are victims, no? So when I'm saying, when we say external events, क्या करे, situation ही ऐसी है, so बिचारी मैं, बिचारा मैं, that is the best thing people keep doing every day. And whether you are coming from a very poor family or very rich family, कहीं ना कहीं तो मैं बिचारा everybody has to have. One reason everybody has in their life to say that I am a poor helpless soul. Why people say that? Now this is because when you don't want to help yourself and you want to only blame other people and keep getting angry. So this victim mentality is something that is often extremely harmful and people get used to. So all the things that we are, that I'm telling you here, the basic 6 causes, people tend to form a habit. Now these causes actually tend to form a major part of your personality because you have not understood and never got rid of these. Then abusive relationship. As I said, now it is opposite of dependency in relationships. Say for example, I was dependent, maybe I was not abused. But I felt that somebody is exploiting me because I didn't like the very fact that I am dependent. Say I am a person with lot of self-respect and I don't like मुफ्त में बैठे खाते जाओ, किसी का पैसा उड़ाते जाओ. So that is the reason I am feeling bad that I should have, I should be independent, I should be doing something. But abusive relationship means somebody who is just coming and abusing you, coming and taking undue advantage of you in spite of you being on a stronger end. So this relationship can happen when you are in love with somebody, or when you are able to give that extra to somebody you care for. So maybe even organization. So say there are some employees who are very dedicated to their organization. They will give in more time than other employees. They will come on Sundays also. They have this organization. They're so much affectionate towards organization. They actually take it as their own. Even if they are not going to get even damn profit out of the whole thing, they say no, this is my duty. I love doing my job. I will do it. So with so much of affection, the employee will give into the organization, and if that he doesn't get the returns back, or if something goes wrong, and if the management unfortunately takes a decision to sack him or something of that sort, the employee starts feeling being abused in a very bad way, or maybe that person is taken for granted. So even if other people take their rights and this person doesn't open up his mouth, he is going to be definitely abused, misused, going to be exploited, and that's abusive relationship. Similarly, when you see so many couples, husband and wife, where wife is nicely beaten up, she's been insulted, and she's saying no, that is okay. So because she's in love with him, she feels it's okay, he has a right, मैं तो उसकी punching bag हूँ, he has the right to come and tell me. वो कहाँ बेचारा अपना गुस्सा किसको बताएगा, तो मुझे बता सकता है. But you are not realizing कि वो आप जो गुस्सा या insults जो सह रहे हो, which you are taking, you are a human being. Even if you are saying that it is not affecting you, it is definitely going somewhere in your system. you are definitely going some, this is creating passively, step by step, बहुत ही छोटे पैमाने पे. जैसे हम रोज पिगी बैंक में दो रुपया डालेंगे, वो 2 रुपया दिखता नहीं है, but one fine day it can amount to thousands of rupees. Similarly, वो maybe 0.00001% anger का element होगा, but that also is deposited within your system and it can really come up in a pathetic way sometime. So this happens in abusive relationship. Then low self-esteem. People who generally have a low self-esteem are also big time victims of anger. Now again, I also belonged to this category once. So I would never have confidence on myself. I would always feel, मुझसे नहीं होगा. To the extent when someone would appreciate me for whatever reason, I would start feeling that, okay, this person is just trying to make me feel good, or this person has some hidden agenda to praise me. But I am good is something I will never be convinced of. Now, when I actually realized this after some 30 years of my life, I started wondering that, oh my God, I mean, so many years I was getting angry at so many things happening in my life because of this one thing I lacked tremendously within me, and that was self-esteem. My self-esteem was had almost gone to dogs. I could not do anything for myself. Of course, I was always a good speaker. I was always a very strong speaker. So people would never understand this. But within myself, I would know that I had zero confidence. I had zero confidence. So it takes a big time to really work on this element. So, I mean, I always tell parents and people who come to me that, even if your partners, your family members are not doing anything good in their lives, do whatever you want. You just tell them that they are, that they are not doing good and they're upsetting you, but try not to bring their self-confidence down. And this happens because when you keep nagging about, usually in environments where there is a lot of nagging happening, when you keep on saying one thing again and again, the one who is weaker tend to get their self-confidence affected very badly. But this also, now they say, there was a very healthy upbringing, a very healthy way of nurturing, but there was nagging. Then you keep wondering that how come children are with low self-esteem? Because there was too much of disciplining, too much of nagging. Don't do this, this is not right, this is not right. Meaning the child thought always that whatever I do is not going to be right. And the child comes up with a low self-esteem, and after a period of time, the child is so angry with himself, but you can't always say that you're angry with yourself. No one knows that. So you try pouring that anger out on external factors. And this is how you carry and take an image of an angry person. That, okay, he or she is an angry person. So all those people, addicts, especially, substance abuse people, drug addicts, alcohol addicts, smokers, and sex addicts, all these people are people with a very, very low self-esteem. If you go and see what is actually their mindset like, they are people with a very low self-confidence. And this is because they cannot, so they try diverting their mind. This is a way they distract their mind by being into one or the other addiction. Because this is the addiction, when they drink, you feel you are on the top of the world. This is what it is. When you smoke, you actually forget what your worries are. So when you forget your worries, you feel, oh, everything is like good in my life. Otherwise, they start thinking that, oh God, I'm not good. I'm not able to do this. I'm not able to do that. So they actually want to forget their follies. They forget their weak parts. That is the reason they end up indulging into substance abuse. So this is an anger iceberg. So what people can see is only anger, but there can be n number of reasons which can show, which are the real reasons for this anger which is seen. So it is often, even if you're hurt with something, very badly you're hurt with something, it can come up as anger. So for example, see, you've really been hurt in a relationship, or you've been hurt by somebody you are really affectionate towards, and then when that person tries talking nicely to you, and when after a while that person wants to come back and be good to you, you are angry because you have felt hurt with his or her behavior. You have not got your dues, so you are hurt so badly hurt that it comes out as an anger, because you don't want to show that you're hurt. Your ego comes in the way. So if you're there has to so this is if hurt would have come out as hurt, there would not have been anger. So if that person, if you have the courage to go and tell that person that you have hurt me so much, and you just cry in front of that person, go and just hug that person and just say that, why did you do this to me? I mean, why did you treat me like nothing? And the anger is subsided. Scarred. If there are scars left on you for some reason, maybe some episode in your life, say I would say it's scarred. No, it's scared. It's scared. Sorry, it's scared. But even scarred is the equal thing. You have some impacts of any bad. I was about to use example of rape victim. So even a rape victim, it's scared, of course, here. But I mean, if I say scarred, there is a scar. There is a scar on your self-esteem. Wherein you are raped. Somebody has really crushed your dignity to the core. But you still have to go on and move on in life. But that particular scar that is there on your mind, on your psyche, is going to come out as an anger if it is not being taken care of at the right moment and in the right way. So that is the reason nowadays every victim, every molestation, they undergo a lot of counseling, because those things do leave a very dirty impact even. But unfortunately, there are so many such episodes happening, molestations happening within the family, wherein people don't even know that something like this is happening. And how can you get rid of those scars? How can you get rid of those impacts when somebody close to you in the family has misbehaved with you? So even that, these are small things, people have, and again, so you're scared. Again, by then those things happen, you are scared to come out in public and talk about it. Because when you talk about it, I don't know, there is this video circulating on Facebook where this one boss tries exploiting his female employee, and she comes up and says that, what do you keep staring at? You keep looking at me, you keep gazing at me in such a manner, because I'm so scared of your looks also, that I have stopped wearing sleeveless in office. This is what she says. So then she actually loses it one day and she says, what do you want to see? Then she tries removing her kurti and say, you want to see something? Let me tell you, all women have the same things. Might be your wife and my size would be just here and there, but we all have the same things. You really want to see that. So this is maybe somewhere she's scared of it, so she was not opening her mouth then. But maybe because now, why is this video so important? Is because she has taken care of the issue at that point. If these things are ignored, if these things are not addressed the way they have to be addressed, what will happen tomorrow if generally also a passerby, or somebody who's just going and he will just hit on that lady, she's going to probably slap him, because she could not slap her boss. She'll slap somebody on the road, because thinking that, how dare you misbehave with me? Now maybe that poor guy was not doing anything. Some pedestrian was not even trying to see her or touch her. But because her anger was there with her boss, who was trying to maybe give that dirty looks and was not being decent enough in his approach with that woman, she's trying to get this out. That anger comes out on somebody else in a different way. So often when you're scared, she was scared to lose her job, she was scared of her own dignity. So if she would tell somebody that, my boss looks at me like this, there are people to say, oh, maybe she must be giving the reason, wherein she must be attracting him. That is the reason so with all these social myths and with all these social pressures, we are so scared to open up to the real reason of our anger, that often people try to put this up giving it a different cause. So say sometimes, say I have lost my purse today. So maybe I was carrying some 5,000 rupees in my purse. If I tell this, I lost my purse, and it was lost. It was lost. It was not a theft. It was not a robbery. It was a loss. So, which means my carelessness. I am definitely supposed to be blaming only myself for my carelessness. But if I tell this to people, and if I'm so angry with what I've done, naturally people are going to come and tell me poor things more. So very, very rarely you find somebody will come and tell you, the family will come and tell you, oh, it's okay, doesn't matter, just chill. then what, to hear these, what we do is start crying. Oh my God, I've got a lot. I mean, I really did this. Something happened. I was, my mind was not in its place, and you give all sorts of stories and all sorts of dramatization to tell people or make people believe that it was just an accident. Maybe it was an accident, but because we are all scared. The problem is we are scared to take the responsibility. So many a times we as human beings, we do commit certain things because of which we have to face a loss. We have to face certain things in our lives. Maybe when it comes to breaking up of relationships or whatever, we are at fault. But how many people have the guts to say that, okay, it was me who was majorly troubling you so much, and it is okay, I understand why did you go away from me, and why did you go away from me in my life. People don't say that. Usually in divorce cases, what happens? People want to come and only blame each other. That is how it gets so dirty. That is how it becomes so dirty. So your anger is basically somewhere everybody, we all, heart of hearts, we know what are our shortfalls and shortcomings also. But we don't have the guts to accept it. And that is where, that when you say you don't have guts, you are really scared. So sometimes you are scared of society, people who will keep blaming you in future also for the same things. And that is the reason you don't want to accept. Similarly, frustrated. You are very frustrated for some reason. Something is not happening according to your thoughts, and you gets you frustrated. Humiliated. Somebody just comes and insults you. So I remember, because I'm a very outspoken person, many a times people have come and just brushed me off in the sense, okay, you just shut up, okay, you don't really understand anything. Now that's something wherein you're really put in a very humiliating position. It's like kind of an insulting in front of so many people. Now, if you don't take it nicely, and if you don't answer that back nicely to the same person, that, what, you've offended me, at least that has to be acknowledged. If it doesn't happen, what can happen is you in return can start humiliating other people. So then you will look out for victim, that, okay, now this fellow is a little person with a little lower IQ. You start humiliating that person. Somebody with some defect, you start humiliating, because you want other people to go through the same pain what you have gone through. So anger comes out in that format. Rejected. You were rejected for something that you were very, very passionate about. So you are like some people, who leave studies and who get into the different line. Often that is, you see, there are victims seen in hostels, in professional colleges, when they cannot take the pressure from their co-students and the pressure of the studies and academics, they often turn out and go into addictions. They become drug addicts because they feel that after putting in so many efforts, after getting qualified to enter this college, they are still not able to get set into the environment and into the ambience. People are not accepting. When you are bullied, when you are ragged, what happens? You feel being rejected. So basically, this is one of the ways why bullying was considered healthy, because bullying would give you a sort of, it was a fighting mechanism with your own self, just to test your own self, that even when the world comes and shows up their rejection, whether you have the confidence to stand by yourself or no. So this was where in professional colleges, bullying to an extent was considered to be healthy, but then it got onto a very different level altogether, wherein it was really harming students' lives. And this is when now there are restrictions on bullying. But initially, when my husband cleared his medicine and all, that time bullying was on a very healthier way. I mean, it was basically the rapport building in a way wherein, say for example, if all seniors would come and as if people are greeting, how many of us remember who all came and wished us on our reception in our wedding? We don't remember, because everybody comes and talks the same thing. Congratulations, congratulations, all the best, congratulations. You don't remember somebody in particular. But if somebody would have just come and punched you, or somebody would have just come and pulled your ear, or something of that sort, you would remember that person. Correct? So when you are new in college, nobody knows you. For you, everybody is senior. All 4 years, except for even your own batchmates, and all other children are different, But if one is bullied in different way, you remember, अच्छा ये उसको वैसे रैक किया था, he is that guy. He'll introduce himself and he'll remember. Similarly, the senior who is bullied will also be remembered कि इसने इसको रैक किया था. So already 2 people now you know out of the whole thing. This way, each one goes bullying the other person in a healthier way, and with those episodes, you associate and you tend to remember people. So that was one of the ways wherein, a nice rapport building session was taken place. But people didn't realize what was it basically meant for, and it turned out to be a very all humiliating affair, wherein students with little weaker mind felt rejected outrightly by their students, by their college and by their environment, so which again led to anger. So these are few ways and means with which we can probably take care of our anger. So I always, this is one thing that I tell all my clients, whatever age group, if you are literate enough, if you even know to write basic things, kindly write, express your thoughts and feelings in a journal. This is most important thing to do, because when I am writing, say today if I am writing that today I went, two auto walas did not give me change of 10 rupees, so I basically had a loss of 20 rupees. So now that's my anger, that somebody as low as that auto guy cheated on me. I consider myself to be very educated and high dignified, high profile woman, and how come that auto guy and the cab driver could cheat me? So if I'm writing this thing down, at least that one reason is coming to me, that maybe it is a very silly and a very stupid reason, but it is a reason with which my dignity, my pride has got affected, it has got triggered. So that gives me one reason. So similarly, when I say I called up my best friend 3 times and she did not pick up the call, if she was busy, she could have at least messaged me. Otherwise, if she was so busy, at least by tonight she could have returned the call back. She has still not called me. So I am worried, but I am angry also. If you only mention that, you are actually acknowledging your anger. That is the reason writing a journal is so important. Don't write a journal as if you're giving minutes to somebody else. हम जैसे एक मीटिंग के minutes लिखते हैं ना, आज मीटिंग में ऐसा ऐसा हुआ. We don't want language power. We don't want to write as a storybook or something that is a very wonderful with your language and all. Write it for your own thing. It is like you're writing it, giving yourself a daily report that what did you do, because you just, a body was walking on the road. Somewhere the soul gets affected, the mind gets affected. So now that body has to give the mind a complete report that this is what I faced, and the mind will say, okay, and I felt that way. So they are meeting over dinner. This is what I call journal writing as. It is a dinner or a coffee meeting of your mind, body and soul together. So this is why, which is why this is very important. Self-compassion, kindness, understanding and share human experience. So basically when you share certain experiences, positive experiences of some compassionate episode, and self-compassion also, you try giving yourself that love. Basically sometimes you're just upset and you can't do anything about it. Okay, I go for my spas and go for my parlor treatment, or sometimes I go, yes, yesterday somebody called up, some journalist called up and say how shopping helps in depression. I'm like, oh wow, it really helps, because you have really pampered yourself. So she's saying men don't go shopping. I said men don't go shopping because there's a reason. One is because men only like expensive things. We can shop for as low as 10 rupee thing also. I can buy something from train worth 10 rupee or 20 rupee also. But men only like electronics which is worth thousands and all. So they cannot really go and do window shop, and they can't just splurge money the way we can, because for women from all categories items are available. So but men also can actually benefit a lot if they go shopping. If not literal shopping, then even window shopping can be helpful to them. But shopping, because if you, as a child, you remember, as a child, if you frown and sit, गुस्सा आता है अगर बच्चे को, like 2 or 3 year old child just will frown, मुंह फुगा के बैठेगा, then what will you do? Okay, come take a chocolate. So what are you basically trying to do? You're trying to really patafy that child. You're trying to pamper that child. You're trying to show that child that, okay, I love you so much and you're just a sweet baby, come take this chocolate. Now when you're grown up, nobody does that to you, Nobody does this to you. So come on, I'll give you something. So you do it to yourself. Simple. Do it for yourself. Just pick up your bag and go. This is again one more therapy that I keep telling people. Love yourself. You should consider yourself as okay. Let me do something that I'll feel good. पता है कि हम temporary में मनाने वाली बात है, but just do it. At least get into the charge. Nurture. Tend to others, or I mean give it to others, or a social support. This is a beautiful and a very spiritual way of dealing with anger, when you help other people in distress. So say I am very angry, but at the same time I I can see an old man who cannot cross the road. So if I'm helping and that person will say two nice kind words that, oh beta tumhara acha hoga, yaar it was so kind of you, you actually forget your anger and you actually get into a good mood, because the soul, the spirit in you has you've done something for your spirit. Otherwise, anger is a side effect of something hampering your ego state. So now when you have done an act of compassion, you have gone back to your spiritual level, your soul level, and you have done something for your soul. And that is definitely at the uppermost level. You can't compare that to anything else. So if something that, again, so people who come with anger issues, I tell them, rather than getting addictions and everything, go serve an NGO. Why do we get angry? Anger, people who get angry is generally a very self-centered emotion. Anger is a very self-centered emotion. So I nowadays don't get angry on countries also, not even Pakistan. Because honestly, because I feel वो अपनी तरह से justified है, हम अपनी तरह से justified है. Nobody is otherwise wrong. I can say this because it's not affecting me directly, and I'm sitting as a civil person. I'm a civilian. But I have to be angry if I'm in army, no? If I'm in army and I'm saying, मुझे तो पाकिस्तान पे बिल्कुल गुस्सा नहीं आता. I can't do anything. So where anger is needed. But here, when I'm talking of a layman, of a different person, when people get angry, it is usually all about myself. कि आज मुझे खाने को ये चाहिए था और मुझे ये नहीं मिला, कुछ और मिला, so I'm angry. आज मेरी friend के साथ मुझे बाहर जाना था, नहीं हुआ, so I'm angry. So if you ask somebody the reasons of anger, it is all around me. मुझे ऐसा नहीं हुआ, वैसा नहीं हुआ. It's all me. तो या तो मेरे बच्चे के साथ, या मेरी माँ के साथ, या मेरे पति के साथ, या मेरी पत्नी के साथ. Again me. But the center is you. Again. So when I tell these people, ये सब छोड़ो, go to a NGO, entirely different crowd, जहाँ आप किसी को नहीं जानते, कुछ नहीं जानते किसी के बारे में, absolute strangers, go and help. And when you hear their stories, you will feel, okay boss, nothing has gone majorly wrong with you. You are still in a very, very comfortable position. And then your anger on yourself will definitely subside. It has to go down. So nurture to and tend support to other people. That is the reason people always say, people who deal with children, they are very happy at the end of the day, because they are so innocent, they are bundle of joys. And when you say, especially when all those people who are working with spastics, who are working with disabled, this is when those people often come back with a lot of compassion, because they at least feel that we are fit and fine. And that is something to really be felt nice for. Breath, of course, relax tense muscles. So these are like to do with yoga and meditation and those kind of exercises. Visualize, create a feel good place in the mind. So maybe then you visualize that आज तो दिन बहुत बुरा था, अब आजकल तो ऐसे ही हो रहा है, लेकिन one fine day I will be in this particular position. And visualizations help. That is a universal way of creating your dream come true. So you have to often visualize. In fact, with me it has happened. So I mean, the way I have visualized, it has happened exactly in the same way. So because I call myself as a daydreamer. Whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm irritated, I tend to daydream. And I know, I'm in the Bollywood zone, I'm just doing something which is like fiction. But I love doing that. And those things, fiction related stuff has happened, all those have happened with me. So my friends often tell me, oh, you're such a movie maniac, everything you relate with movies, and you're such a filmy character. Maybe filmy things happen with me because I visualize them in a filmy manner. So it happens. And I'm not happy, I'm not sad though, it is a good thing. This too shall pass. And then you have, when you go into that matured level of thinking, yesterday I was happy, today I'm not. So today I'm angry, tomorrow I might not be angry again. So, this will just go away. Of course, this is one way of brushing it off. You're not really dealing with it.
What is the last one?
This too shall pass. Meaning you console yourself. आप अपने आप को समझाते हैं ना, बच्चे को बोलते हैं वैसे कि ठीक हो जाएगा. So, just giving yourself that consolation that everything will be all right, don't worry. Take a break. So, just get out of that place, situation and environment and go in a completely different zone. So when I was talking to this journalist about shopping, that is exactly what I told her. I said क्या होता है? So she's like ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग हेल्प करेगा. I said नहीं करेगा इतना. ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग सिर्फ थोड़ी देर के लिए हेल्प करेगा, लेकिन क्या होता है अगर आप फिजिकली जाते हो? जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई डिसाइड कि आई एम वेरी अपसेट, वेरी एंग्री, लेट मी गो शॉपिंग. फर्स्ट थिंग तो मैं अपने पजामाज में या ट्रैक पैंट में तो नहीं जा सकती, तो मुझे थोड़े डिसेंट कपड़े पहनने पड़ेंगे इफ आई हैव टू गो शॉपिंग. सो आई विल ड्रेस अप, आई विल गेट रेडी टू गो शॉप. सेकेंड इज आई विल हैव टू वॉक. सो मैं अपने घर में वो जो सैड सा एनवायरमेंट में अंधेरे रूम में बैठ के सोच रही थी, ओ माय गॉड आई एम सच अ बिचारी एंड व्हाटएवर. I am out of that situation now. So now I'm watching somebody, two people fighting on the road, two people kissing in the garden, two children running here and there. So automatically my mind has taken an occupation of those things. Then if I have to travel by public transport or drive my own vehicle, I have to be alert on the road. So naturally my mind, a part of my mind is again occupied, it is on the road. And if I have the auto driver also, I have to see meter क्या है, कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं कर रहा है, whatever. And that is how. So by the time I actually enter the mall or the shopping place, I am half cured. I am literally half cured. And then though, of course, I will be fully cured with all nice garments and accessories and everything around me. So taking a break, going for vacations, I think that's the best thing to do. Oh yeah. Speak up. Most important, which people don't do. People often don't come to this level. Voice your concerns clearly and calmly. Actually problems के solutions नहीं मिल रहे हैं क्योंकि हम बोलना ही नहीं चाहते. We don't want to raise an issue. Say for example, as a child, I was never comfortable with certain rules and regulations that were levied upon me. But I did not have the guts. My son comes and tells me, why is this like this? I don't like it. And I appreciate that. Of course, it hurts me for a moment. I get a little taken aback that how can he come and ask me this? This is not right. But then I feel it is a good thing. And I am not discouraging this practice, because if I tell him whatever is said by me is the final word in the house, you have to listen to this without a second question, I am actually putting this person into deep suppression. At least this, my child is coming and telling me, I'm not happy with this. So I give him my explanation that this is what I feel, but when you grow up, you can change it. So he doesn't have as much an objection to listen to me. This is what we can do if we speak up. But now, he's a child, so he doesn't know the consequences, so he will speak. But my daughter, who is older to him, who knows the consequences, will be very, very quiet and will not speak up, because she'll feel I'll get offended. If she'll ask me that, Mama, I'm not happy with what you're doing, I'm not happy with the kind of food you've made, I will be offended, so she will not tell me. So what happens is, this way she is going to put all her emotions are going to be suppressed, and one day she will actually rebel in a very bad way. So this usually happens in close relationships, and somewhere that scared element comes there. When you're scared of hurting somebody and you're scared that something will go majorly wrong in your relationships, and this is where anger builds up. But unless and until you have spoken to that person as to what is really disturbing you in that relationship, how do you expect a solution? How do you expect the situation to get better? You are going to only keep on increasing that anger, and ultimately somebody else will keep being the victim all the time. So say if you have an abusive wife or abusive husband, those people will go out in their work fronts and keep on pouring that anger on somebody else, and that will become a pattern. But वो दोनों के बीच में तो कभी दोनों समझेंगे ही नहीं कि actually problem क्या था, because they have never spoken to one another. Oh, why should I? How can I tell her this? Okay, sometimes people also feel, ये क्यों बोलना जरूरी है क्या, समझ में नहीं आता? अरे नहीं आता समझ में, बोलो ना. Why don't we speak? Why are we so फालतू का कितना बोलते हैं हम लोग? Imagine how much we talk the whole day. But when it comes to really talking authentic, people don't want to talk. See, this also happens when you really love someone tremendously. You love someone so much, but just to tell those three things that I love you so much, please stop hurting me, we don't want to say that. Because when we say that, we feel we are actually bowing down in front of that person, we are kneeling down and we are begging for something. No, it's not begging. It's just expressing. It's just telling that person that, okay, you are fond of this person, and so you just don't hurt that person. Trust me, even if that's said once, you no longer are a victim to that person's behavior. Because somewhere that person is also a little careful in behaving, because he or she understands that you have told him that or her that you like them. So how can they be so mean to you? Second, you also, he or she then is a little on a compassionate level, while treating with you. Before that, they didn't know. See, say for example, you keep giving a lot of services to somebody you are in love with. Like, so say for your husband, your spouse, or somebody, you care so much that you are going to be there, right there. Okay, you need something, I'll make this for you. I'll make this for you. I will do this for you. And then that husband gets so annoyed one day, or just leave me alone. What's wrong with you? Itna kya piche padi ho? Just get lost. And that hurts. Now this lady is doing all these things because she's in love with him, but that is hurting. But if this is spoken, that I'm doing this because I love you, he will be a little careful in using right kind of words, and then he can maybe explain it to her that I know you love me, but when you do so much for me, I feel burdened, I feel pressurized. So both of them will probably mellow down, they will find solutions to what they are doing if it is spoken. But if it is not spoken, she will keep feeling unko to value hi nahi hai meri, he doesn't love me. Oh, it's not that he doesn't love you, but maybe he doesn't want so much of attention from you. That's it. So this is where speaking up is most essential. I think often 90% of the problems in life occur because we don't speak up the right thing at the right time to right person. And in fact, I will go and talk about my exact expression to somebody else. But what is the use? I am not telling this to the person who really needs to hear, who really needs to know. So this is where speaking up becomes extremely crucial, extremely important to sort your anger to quite an extent. So majority of them, whoever you feel who's a Zen in front of you, Zen kind of person, and if you think they're pretending that you don't experience anger, sadness or loneliness, they're just pretending, trust me, most of them. That can literally destroy you mentally, because if you're not showing anger as anger, you're going to show that anger in something else. Then you are a victim of cardiac arrest, then you are a victim of hemorrhages, high BP shoot-ups, lot things, including skin diseases. These are all the results of you keeping all these three important emotions within you. So that is the reason, please, it's not right to pretend. It has to be acknowledged. It has to be addressed. And the right cause of anger needs to be addressed for us to deal with it and to come up with a solution. Thank you.
Thank you.